I fell in love with this book. I've read one sequel, and was it the best sequel? No. I've been staring at it on my shelf for literally weeks. I don't understand. I don't see why it's one of the best fantasy. It lacked so many things for me. Literally cried for like 2 hours over this. Hello book friends, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Kaylin and I hope you are doing so lovely. Hi guys, I have not done a sit down video in months, and reason being is because I just haven't felt like it. I've lost my mojo for sit down videos. I have lost the care to film them, the energy to film them. So I just stuck to vlogging, but I found myself longing to film a sit down video. So that's what we're doing. Today is going to be the mid-year freakout tag, which I love watching these. I love doing these. I did one last year, which if you guys want to watch that, I will link it above and below for you guys because I have changed a lot since last year. My reading taste has changed a lot since last year. So let's just get into it. Question number 1. Best book you've read so far. This is an oldie, but it's new to me because I put off reading this book for months, years, for a very long period of time for no reason, and that is Karla. I fell in love with this book, this world, the characters. I got so immersed in this book. I mean, if you guys watch my vlogs, you know I literally could not put this book down for the life of me. I read it so fast. Absolutely love this book. Question number 2. Best sequel you've read so far. Also, side note, if you see me looking down, it's because my laptop is right here with the questions. So for this question, I don't really think it's a fair answer, the answer I chose. Because one, I've only read one sequel. So is it the best? I don't know because I've only read one. And that is the Hawthorne Legacy. This is the second book in the Inheritance Game trilogy. I think I rated this a 3-star. I don't really remember this book at all. So that's how I know it's not one of the best sequels, because literally out the brain, okay? So that's the answer to this question. Kind of cheated, kind of not. I don't know. You decide. Question number 3. New release you haven't read yet, but you want to. This one's easy. I've been staring at it on my shelf for literally weeks. Every time I come in here, I stare at it. And that is Happy Place by Emily Henry. I am waiting for the perfect time to read this book. I am waiting for when I am on vacation. I have nothing to do other than to take my time and really enjoy this book. I love Emily Henry. Now, I will say Book Lovers was not my favorite by hers. My favorite by hers is probably Beach Read, but a lot of people love this book. So I'm really hopeful that I'm really gonna love this book. And also, this is the Waterstones edition in case anyone is curious. It's beautiful. Question number 4, most anticipated release for the second half of the year. So this one is A Curse for True Love by Stephanie Garber, which is the final book in the Once Upon a Heart trilogy. I don't know if that is the exact name of the trilogy, but you get what I'm saying. I am so excited for this book. Have I only read the first book in the series? Yes, but the reason being is I'm waiting for my UK cover of the second book in the trilogy to come, which it should come pretty soon. I just got the notification that it shipped out literally yesterday, so it should be here within 2 weeks. And then the third book comes out in September, I think. September or October, I forget, one of those two. So very excited for that book. Number 5, biggest disappointment. And before I show you the book, just remember, everyone has different opinions. Everyone has different reading taste. Everyone thinks something is good or something is bad. Everyone is different, okay? Which makes the world beautiful sometimes. So for this book in particular, there was so much hype around this book. There still is so much hype around this book. So many people love this book and saying it's one of the best fantasies of 2023, like blah, 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 blah. So I was like, oh my God, this is gonna be so good. I read it and I was like, I don't get it. I don't understand. I don't see why it's one of the best fantasy. It lacked so many things for me. The writing was just not good. To me, the writing was very much, I'm trying to make this adult, but it's written YA. It was just written so weird. The author kept going back and forth between like modern day writing and fantastical writing. If you read fantasy books, you know what kind of writing style I'm talking about. She would just throw in random like modern day words, like example, vibes, They don't say that in fantastical worlds. Like, that is not. So with that, it just made it very cringy. And I just think, like, this was marketed very wrong because it was marketed as enemies to lovers when it wasn't enemies to lovers, because the person who was supposed to be her enemy was never really her enemy, okay? He just didn't like her. They just didn't like one another. And if he was her enemy, he wouldn't have done everything in his power to try to, like, prevent stuff from happening to her. Like, that, no, that's not an enemy. And it said slow burn. Literally the second time something happened between these two characters, they said, I love you. Where is the slow burn? Sorry? I could go on and on and on about this book, but let me just show you. Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. Did I pre-order the second book? Yeah, I did, because I need to know what happens. I think this book could have been so much better if she would have just taken the time to write out the world, built the world a little better, had maybe a little more politics, maybe flushed out the romance a little better. Like, maybe if we didn't get it until, like, the second book, I feel like it would have been really good. And the one thing that this book has going for it is the dragons. The dragons are so freaking cool. I love that we have a book that we get to be inside the mind of a dragon. I think it's fantastic. There is another series that I will recommend over Fourth Wing, and that is the Aurelian Cycle trilogy, which is Fireborn, Flamefall, and Fury Song. It's basically kind of what you have going on in Fourth Wing, but better developed. So that's my long-winded answer for this question. Number 6. Biggest surprise. The Collected Regrets of Clover. I did not expect to love this book as much as I love this book. I did not expect to get something out of this book at all. I remember when I started this book, I was reading it and I was like, this is going to be a book that I'm going to get something from. And I did. And the writing was really good. Basically in this book, you're following Clover, who has a really close connection with death. She has seen death early on, from her kindergarten teacher basically having a heart attack in front of her when he was doing a reading, to her parents dying, and to her becoming a death doula. And her grandfather that she lived with for the majority of her life passed away as well. And so with that, she kind of brings comfort to people who are on their deathbeds, and she learns something from each of them. And I just, if you want a book that's going to really teach you something and you get something from, please read this book. And it's really short. It's really fast read. It's amazing. Favorite new author. So technically he's not new to me. This year I read my second TJ Klune, which was Under the Whispering Door. I read The House on the Cerulean Sea when it came out. Was it last year or 2 years ago? I think it was 2 years ago. I remember really liking it, and then reading Under the Whispering Door really reminded me how much I love TJ Klune's way of being able to tell a story and really immerse you in it, and just telling, like, not so normal stories. Like, just, they're just very good, very strange, very weird, but you fall in love with these characters, and it's just, it's the best. Question number 8. Newest fictional crush. And I always struggle with fictional crushes because I don't necessarily have fictional crushes. I, like, when I'm reading the book, I like who I like in the book and all that, and say it's a male, because I'm unfortunately straight. So I typically like the men, and I like, if I'm like, ooh, I like what he's doing, but after the book is done and I'm done reading, I don't like have a forever like crush. Like, I don't have a book boyfriend. So this one's really hard, but currently at the moment, the current book I'm reading is Daughter of No World, so I'm going to say Max for this question. So it changes whenever I'm reading a book that I really like. So there's my answer to that question. Number 9, newest favorite character. Again, I don't have a favorite character. I know. So I'm very sorry. But what is your favorite character? Let me know. I would love to know. Number 10, a book that made you cry. Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune. This book I read at a time where I really needed to read the book. Basically, you're following a guy who is in the afterlife, and this is TJ Klune's version of afterlife. So they're like, live above this tea shop, and it's a bunch of, there's the tea shop owner, I forget his name now, and then there's the Grim Reaper, and then the dad of the tea shop, and then there's a dog, and they're all living this, and he kind of, the guy who's in the afterlife kind of like slowly accepts his fate and all that, and it's just so heartwarming and so good. And there was a part that made me really bawl because I actually 2 weeks prior to reading this book lost my dog, and I struggled so hard with just accepting it, and which I think with grief you never really accept it, you kind of just learn to live with it and learn to like you're gonna have those moments and it's okay to live in those moments that you have, and it's never right or wrong, or there's no timeline on how you're gonna get over grief. Like grief I think is inevitable. I think grief is something that's going to be with you for the rest of your life, especially if you lose a loved one, you know, a dog, a cat, whatever it is you lose, I think it's going to be with you for the rest of your life. So I was really struggling with it. And if you've read the book Under the Whispering Door, you know what I'm talking about when a certain something passes over, and I literally cried for like 2 hours over this book, and it was just I need the physical copy. So that's my answer for that question. Number 11, a book that made you happy. So this book, read trigger warnings, because there is trigger warnings going into this book. The premise of this book is not necessarily a happy premise, but the reason why it made me happy is because the main character reminds me so much of my dad. So much of my dad that it just, there's certain things that this character did that I was like, that is my dad. So it made me smile, it made me think of my dad. And that is a man called Uva. A man called Uva. I always struggle with this name. A man called Uva. This is fantastic. Frederick Backman is actually one of my favorite authors. He wrote Anxious People. That was my first book I ever read from Frederick Backman. Absolutely loved it. So if you're looking for a new author to kind of taste test and try out, I would recommend him. This is actually a movie now. It's called A Man Called Otto. It's on Netflix. Amazing movie. Again, made me sob, but also made me laugh. And yeah, I really love this book a lot. Number 12, most beautiful book you have acquired this year. Let me go get them. Okay, these books I'm about to show you are my very first special edition from a book box. They're very special to me. They're very near and dear. I never splurge on books like these because, quite frankly, in this economy, I wish I could, but I also never really have any luck when buying these books. They always sell out. I never get them. And so I'm just going to shut up. These are the Illumicrate edition of the Crescent City books so far. So I'm going to do close-up of these and overlap it here so you guys can see them up close because there's so much detail to these books. So you have House of Earth and Blood. You have the iconic quote that says, "Through love, all is possible." And then you have the stenciled edges, and inside you have these gorgeous end papers. And then you have page overlays, which is why I want to do a close-up shot because I cannot show you it. And there is the second end page, and yeah, and you also get a little ribbon with it. Let me get it out. I am actually not a fan of these ribbons. I would rather not have one, but here's where it is. There's the little ribbon you get. And then you have the second one, which is House of Sky and Breath, and it says, "Our love spans across stars and worlds" on the spine. And then here are the stenciled edges. And then for this one, these are the gorgeous end papers. These did come with alternate dust jackets, which again, I will film B-roll because they're actually on my American hardcovers, like the original hardcovers. So I will show you guys that when I film the overlay B-roll for you guys. Question number 13, what books must you finish by the end of the year? Of course, every single book on my TBR, but there are specific books that I have that I really want to finish. I really want to finish the Karvel trilogy. I read Karvel, as I mentioned. I have not carried on with it. Why? I don't know, but I am really itching to carry on with it. I really need to read The Ballad of Never After, which is the second book in the Once Upon a Broken Heart series, along with A Curse for True Love when it comes out. I've just been waiting, as I said, because my UK edition is coming, and also I just want to wait closer to when the third book comes out so I can like binge them. And I think those are the only like major books that I'm like, oh, I really need to read these. So that's that. Question number 14, content creators you've been loving. So I have a list. I'm just going to go off them. Vanilla Moon, Oliviareadsalatte, MelReads, Rachel Catherine, Hailey Hughes, Cozy K, and Karla Espinosa. Love them all. They're basically what I watch 24/7. I will link them all down below for you guys. So if you guys are looking for new booktube lifestyle girlies to follow, I'll got you. I'll link them down below. Okay, you guys, that is it for the mid-year freakout tag. Those are all the questions. If you guys want to answer these questions, answer them down below because I would love to know your answers. And I cannot believe we're already halfway through the year. What? That means I'm halfway to being 30. Freaking out about it. Can you just tell? But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to give it a big thumbs up. And if you aren't, make sure you guys are subscribed because I would love to have you here. I'd love you to join the family. It's a fun time over here. I put out weekly vlogs every single Wednesday, and we're getting back into the sit down Sunday videos. And if you don't already, you can follow me on my social medias. I'm on TikTok and Instagram. They're both linked down below as always. And I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you guys are reading lots of good books, and I will see you guys in my next video.